who Jesus used to be for me, who did a lot of miracles, who had a virgin birth, who raised people from the dead, but at the end of the day, couldn't do anything to help me out. Muslims, I always tell people, they're human beings. We want to have life. We want to be happy. We want families. We want security. We want peace. What makes Muslims different is that they live with this blueprint for life overlaid over every aspect of their lives that is called Islam. It gives you rules to follow in order to attain something. If I need faith in Islam, I gotta somehow drum up faith in myself. If I wanna have peace, I gotta somehow drum up peace. I was so sure that I was a holy guy and that my good works that I was doing were sufficient, that God looked on me favorably. And instead I got this overwhelming sense and feeling that not only was God's presence far from me, but his face was turned from me. It was like I was scrubbing the outside of a glass furiously, but the inside of the glass was full of junk and dirt and filth. And so I tried to be a better Muslim, and I tried to figure out some way that I could change my heart. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't break my selfishness. I couldn't break my pride. And I eventually got to the point where I realized that I was damned. Hearing, the Bible preached week after week was interesting. Some things that they preached that were similar enough to Islam, I thought, wow, these Christians are so close. Other things I thought, wow, they're so way off base. No wonder they're all going to hell. But one Sunday, the pastor was preaching on the cross. And so for me, this was like huge. Like this is the core of what's wrong with Christianity, that you believe that God could become a man. And this voice popped up and said, wouldn't it be nice if the gospel was true? Wouldn't it be nice? This is a Christian fairy tale. I already know all the reasons why the gospel isn't trustworthy as it's presented in the Bible. But a part of me at that moment thought, I wish that the gospel was true. How can I ever believe that my God, whose honor is above reproach, would allow himself to be mocked, to be spit on, to be beaten, brutally tortured, and then stripped and nailed to a cross in full view of the public? God forgive me for even thinking, for considering this blasphemy. The God that I knew from the Quran would never do that. He would never have suffered on the cross like that. He never would have endured everything leading up to the cross. So if this is really the truth, and this is what I have to understand and believe in order to be saved, then I need you to show up and tell me, or do something, or give me a sign, anything. He instantly gave me a vision. All I could see in front of me was this rocky hill, and I saw this man being crucified. I knew the moment he looked at me that I was wrong about him, that he was more than a prophet, more than just a man, a messenger from God, that I was looking into the eyes of a king, the King of Kings, that I was looking into the eyes of God. There's all of my sin that I couldn't get to, all this junk in my life that I couldn't change, I couldn't fix, all of my brokenness, all of my rebellion, all of my disobedience, all of my secret sins that only God and I knew about. And it was being poured out on Jesus. And he said, that was why I did that. Because that was the only way for you and I to have a relationship, and it was worth it to me to pay that price. I know that I used to know so many things about religion, and that I was the guy that you came to ask questions, and I was really prideful about that. But God has humbled me and reduced me to two pieces of information that I know is fact, and that's all really I have now, is that Jesus is the Messiah, Son of the living God, and that he was crucified for our sins.